Hi, I'm Steve Van Coor, and this is episode number 5 out of 6 in our soft series on what it takes to be a city manager. We're going to interview a series of city managers, and we're going to talk today about the special pressures, both the negative and the positive pressures that come from being a city manager. You're going to love this video.
Hello, Rafael Casals, town manager, town of Cutler Bay, down in Dade County. Some fun facts: we are the youngest municipality in Miami-Dade County. We were incorporated in 2006, roughly 10 square miles with 45,000 residents. And we also are a contract city, so we manage the entire 45,000 residency with only 37 full-time employees. We contract out our police department, we contract out our transit department, we contract out our IT department, and we also contract out our building department. So we truly run it like a business.
I'm Michelle Lieberman. I'm the Alachua County Manager, and I've been with Alachua County for 10 years. I actually started out as the appointed county attorney back in 2014, and I've been the county manager since 2017. Alachua County is in north central Florida. We are about 285,000 residents. We are a university town, so about 50,000 of those residents are University of Florida students, and another 25,000 or so are Santa Fe College. So we have quite a large population of transient students within Alachua County.
Greetings and salutations. I am Deric Feacher, and I have the privilege of serving as the City Manager, Chief Administrative Officer for the world's most famous beach, Daytona Beach, Florida. Daytona Beach, Florida is home to 6 colleges and universities, 44,000 college students, 82,000 residents. It's the home of the Super Bowl of NASCAR, the Daytona 500. It's home to Bike Week, Jeep Week. It's home to a lot of things. It is the desired destination to live, work, play, learn, and raise a family. And that $333 million budget, 980 employees, they're dedicated to making sure you enjoy and experience the great things of Daytona Beach, Florida.
My name is Andrea McCue. I'm the city manager for the city of Green Acres, located in central Palm Beach County. I have been the manager there for 9 years.
Being a city manager comes with a wide variety of pressures, from getting the job done, to managing the community, to managing your staff, to managing the commission. Let's break this into 2 parts. Professionally, how do you deal with that? And then we'll talk about personally, how do you deal with it? How do you manage the day-to-day pressures of being a city manager?
When you understand the value of what you're trying to do in a community, I know my role as a public servant. And so I went into this mindset of that I want to really transform the very fabric of the community. So the pressures that come is almost like when you get fine wine. To make wine, you've got to have pressure. Diamonds are made under intense heat and pressure. Pearls are made from the grains get into the, and so pressure can produce purpose. And so I realized out of those 3 items that if I go through all the pressures of life, the pressures of the work environment, that there's going to be something great on the other side of that. And so I manage it by thinking about those 3 elements that I think are very powerful, and they're very expensive at times, and knowing that that through this pressure, there's going to be purpose on the end. And I realize that there are 980 some employees that are depending on me to be out front. There are 82,000 residents in my current role and the roles before that. And so it's a mindset. I have a faith walk that I believe in, just strict meditation of realizing that this is part of my life and my purpose. And so that's how I deal with it, even in the workplace and also privately.
So what you're doing, let me restate it. You're taking the smallness of the pressure, but looking outward and saying, I'm going to build a new community where people can afford to live. I'm going to get a beautiful raise for these firefighters who are sacrificing their lives for our families. I'm going to get that road widened. So keeping your eye on those prizes is what keeps you not worried about the little day-to-day pressures.
Yeah, and you can't, it's a part of life. I tell citizens who call about the pothole or the trash can, or I'm your neighbor also. There's not a helicopter that's picking me up from my house and dropping me off at City Hall. I'm riding on the same roads you ride on. I'm seeing the same transients that are on the side of the road asking for resources. I'm seeing dilapidated buildings or high rises that need work on. And so I understand that whole value because I'm part of the community.
Does it ever get too much? Like there's so much to do? And Daytona Beach has had a rocky past.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, a difficult path.
There sometimes it's still rocky.
Yeah, well, everywhere. But do you ever get that feeling of being overwhelmed?
You know, I'm one that it hasn't overwhelmed me because I understand my purpose. Now, do I get tired and frustrated and want to go, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life? Yes, but I will never think that it's too much for me because I know that there's a day of rest.
Can I have some of your lack of self-doubt? Because I come to the office some mornings and I'm like, I don't know if I can get all this done. My answer to that is I'm going to put one foot right in front of the other over and over again.
But that's what I have to do. So why do I take on all that pressure of saying that I can't take it anymore when I know tomorrow I want to get back up and do it all over again?
And you're enthused about what you do.
The transformation. When you see something as simple as a young child realizing that they can now ride their bicycle on a trail to school and not in the road, I think I can deal with it.
Feel pretty good about that.
I can deal with the pressure. Or a senior coming to one of our facilities and learning how to use an iPad or a computer when they had they're native, either native to the technology or not. So those are the things that get me roused up when you got 3 or 4 citizens that may come and complain, but then I know there's going to be someone that's going to say, we appreciate you. Our streets are paved. There are new restaurants here, new businesses. The students are coming back, new jobs. And so those, I try to
Is it the
balance
people
it.
stuff that gets you motivated like that, or is it the infrastructure stuff?
It's the people. Because without the people, the infrastructure is unnecessary.
See, I would be the guy who would be like, I built that park. You're the guy who says, look at that kid.
Yeah, they're happy.
Okay.
Parks are going to come, buildings are going to come, but people make a community. And if you can focus on the people, both internally for me with my teammates in the community, life will be better. But we focus so much on how much infrastructure is not in the ground, the light fixtures that are up in there. And I'm trying to figure out, get the people, when people are satisfied with the work, they work harder. When the community is pleased, even when there's a pothole or may be some flooding, they come to the table knowing that there is someone at City Hall ready to work on their behalf.
We live in a time right now where the people have keyboards.
Yeah.
And in case you guys
social media advocates.
So how do you get past those people? Is it again, I think I know the answers, but tell me in your words, how do you get past those people, the never-ending complainers?
It's not. Some people don't like solutions because they lose the ability to complain. Some people want to be...
So that's your perspective. It's like, I can't make you happy.
I can't make you happy.
See, this is the number one reason I could never be a city manager. I'd get that one lost sheep. I'd be losing my mind over.
Oh no, it's not there. I mean, my wife hasn't lost her mind with me, and sometimes I'm lost.
Oh yeah. so like if she could put up with me, I could put up with her.
Yeah.
For myself, I do, a lot of people use the gym as a way to de-stress, which I do, 2 or 3 days a week. But I also, do try to do things I enjoy, like puzzles, things that keep my mind going, but at the same time are not work-related, keep my mind going. So I really enjoy it, and it's just, for me, I can just bury myself in that and not have to think about those types of stressors.
I used to be in politics, a lot of people were like, oh, did you watch House of Cards? I'm like, no, I don't want to watch anything to do with politics. I need to go do a crime detective novel or a third world fantasy novel or something like that. And it sounds like that's what you like, to just get your brain working on something completely different.
Yes, and that helps keep my brain active in a different way on something else than, work creeping in, I guess it would be a good way to say it.
Kind of squeeze it out.
Yeah.
Now, professionally, right, you always have to be on. Let's just use the shopping at Publix. Or let's just say the grocery store, okay? You can't show up in sweatpants and Crocs because people are going to see you. They know you because you're on the TV a lot. You're in public meetings a lot. Do you ever feel like I just want to let my hair down, so to speak? Not that you would be wanting to wear Crocs to the grocery store or whatever, but how do you deal with that constancy of that pressure?
I think the most important thing is I try to be myself. Do I wear Crocs to the grocery store? Actually, I do. I don't try to, I got to do, my makeup and hair and wear my suit just to go and pick things up. I try to be myself. I'll get things from people like, you look very familiar. Well, I'm around, you must have seen me somewhere. I don't, it's not like, hey, I'm on TV. But because frankly, if they've seen me on TV, they must have had insomnia watching the government channel in the middle of the night. But no, and I think it's interesting because I've been places where I've had people come up to me and say, I know you. And your first reaction is, oh my gosh, what are they upset about? What did one of my commissioners do? What and
what am I responsible for here?
Yeah, what am I going to get yelled at about in public? One time I was shopping with my children at a Target and in sweatpants, hair up, glasses, trying to not just get my stuff done.
The ball cap lower on the face.
Just trying to get my stuff done. And a woman came up and did just that and said, I know you. And my kids are just looking at me like, oh no, here we go, and she's like, I think you're doing a great job. I watch and you're doing amazing, and we think the county's doing, going in a great direction. And it was very nice, because you're waiting for that.
Yeah, you're waiting for that attack.
For that moment, because it happens so much, especially in a boardroom, that it was very nice to have somebody come up to me just to say that. So it's not all, there's a lot of pressure, and kind of living in that fishbowl is difficult, but it's certainly not all a negative.
Well, I think the pressures with each one of those areas, whether you're dealing with elected officials, you're dealing with your staff, you're dealing with your residents, the pressures are different with each one of those areas. First and foremost, when you're dealing with the residents, we want to be good stewards of their taxpayer dollars. We want to be able to provide them the amenities, the infrastructure, the services that that make Green Acres a place where they want to live, learn, work, and play. So that is always what we're trying to achieve there, and we do that by tying into our mission, values, and goals, making sure that everything ties into that. From a staffing perspective, and honestly, staffing perspective, that's one of the most important for me. And the reason that one is so important is because we are only as good as the team that we're surrounded by.
Right.
And I think that in the end, ensuring that they have a good work-life balance, ensuring that we're providing them opportunities for growth. That means sometimes that we may lose them. There's a lot of competition within, government, and a lot of places
you
are
promote
always
somebody
hiring.
to Parks and they become
Absolutely.
assistant
And
city manager in the next city.
That's
yeah.
exactly right, and that's okay. As long as we're giving them those opportunities and they feel like we're fulfilled, they feel like I'm supporting what it is they want to do, those initiatives that they want to bring to the table, and that is very important, but that is a great pressure for me.
Sometimes I got to believe those two pressures that you identified right there have a conflict, right? So you want to take care of your staff, you want to give them time off, you want them to have good work-life balance,
Correct.
family leave, etc. On the other hand, we have very demanding residents
Correct.
that you're like electricity. When I flip the switch on, I don't think about you. When the switch doesn't come on, I think about you.
Right.
And it almost seems like when you're doing great things for the community, they're not standing up and applauding you, but when things fail, they want to have your head on a platter. How do you deal with some of those conflicts?
Well, and it's interesting because I always tell our staff, normally when residents are coming to see us, they're not coming to see us for a good reason.
Right.
They're usually upset about something, they're angry about something, and even if we have done all that we can do and we've satisfied them and they walk away happy, they're still angry that they came to see us. So I think it's really about communication, and whether it's communication with staff, communication with the residents, that transparency of we can't be all things to all people. We can do some things we can't do. And I think that understanding that we are working within a certain set of parameters, and the pressure to try and achieve the vision of the council and also make our residents happy, that is a pressure that we try to balance every day.
Any tools or tactics that you deploy personally to help you manage those pressures?
I think personally it's really a matter of being able to understand from my perspective what it is that I can do, what I can't do. And again, we can't be all things to all people. There are certain things that we can do. I like to try and tie everything back to our mission, values, and goals, because I can point to that and tangibly say, we are doing this because this is the mission, the values, the goals that have been established by our city council with input from our residents.
I think the pressure day to day is delivering excellent service. I mean, to me, I treat it like Mayberry. You know, somebody calls the front desk, they want to talk to the town manager. I go out of my way to go ahead and talk to them, and kind of turning one resident at a time, making sure that they have a positive experience dealing with our building department, our police department, our code compliance department. So I try to make that culture within the organization, and that way it kind of spills over from my lifeguard, you know, who's providing services, to my park service aide who's at 11 o'clock at night closing down the park and picking up litter.
But are most of the calls you get from your staff in those regards, or are you actually getting citizens calling you?
We get citizens that call
Okay.
us, and the calls have come down, believe it or not, because my model is very easy when I talk to my staff. You see it, I see it, why do we still see it? Think about that in that statement when you have the shopping cart, the old Hillary Clinton for president, you know, sign, house for sale sign. So we try to keep it as neat as possible there all the time with town, and providing that excellent customer service as well.
And so that's where most of your daily pressures come from.
Daily pressures come from that, and then obviously then from the council standpoint,
Yeah.
they'll provide us some information. Like for example, sometimes they'll say, "Hey, we had an issue with a resident regarding a code compliance case." I said, "Council member or mayor, please give that to me. Give that to us. That's what we deal with, and you guys deal with policy." So they already have they know their kind of like place in terms of making policy, and then they do a great job saying, "Listen, this is what we have a town manager and administration for. Please contact them." We still follow up with the council members and also with the resident as well.
You can't possibly get all done what you need to get done in a 24-hour period. And I'm assuming you sleep. I'm assuming you do things other than work. How do you balance those pressures of, I mean, because it's endless, right? You could stay at the office all night and you get in the morning, it's still going to be, how do you balance some of those pressures?
I think from the personal standpoint, I balance it out. Like I have a routine. I get to work, and then from 11:30 to 12:30, I'm at LA Fitness. You know, I sit there, get the headphones on. I'm one of those that's stuck in the 1980s with Madonna, you know, and I sit there for 45 minutes and do it. And the council respects that time, so they won't bother me there. The only time I will answer the phone is my police chief will call. You know, so we have that. And
yeah, we have that rule. It's like, text me 911 if it's, I got to get off the treadmill. That's
correct. I mean, versus 3 in the morning, I know that something bad happened, right? So I think a lot of it is communication. And I started off by saying that we try to answer as many calls as we can, but also you got to have that communication, open flow communication with your elected officials and your department heads. Like, for example, right now I'm up here in Bonnet Creek at the Florida City County Manager Association meeting. I have a rotation of acting town managers, which are my department heads. So they all get a taste when I'm not in the office. It's amazing when I get back to office, boss, I don't want your job.
It reminds me of that Mark Twain saying, you know, when I went off to college, my dad was so dumb, I couldn't believe after 3 years how much the old man had learned. And so by ascribing and delegating, you're the town manager while I'm out of town, they probably have a little bit more respect and understanding for the job.
Correct.
Plus, it's great training.
Yeah, it is great training, and it's amazing because they appreciate. Now they understand that sometimes when they come by my desk and I give them the smile, that means come back again because I'm dealing with something. They understand it because of the amount of calls that we would get.
So I wanted to talk about the professional first, but you hit me with the personal, and I loved it because setting aside time each day or almost every day to do something for your personal fitness and both your physical and your mental headspace to just clear out in the middle of the day. What made you come up with this idea?
I just got into it already. You know, it was just one of those that was my stress release besides, you know, working in the yard, you know, so I kind of like disconnect. That's my disconnection, you know, so I call it like almost like a football game. It's halftime, right? I get to work. I know that that's something to look forward to at lunchtime. And then I come back, you know, put on the suit and tie, eat my little salad at the desk, and then continue to 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Your enthusiasm, your love for the job, your love for public service, it's oozing from your pores. Okay,
Yeah.
I get that, and I love it. How do you convert that to how many staff?
There were 980 employees.
Okay, so you can't have breakfast with each of them every day.
No.
How do you convert that downstream?
You start with a level of, I have a thing, I come in a different door at City Hall every day, every single day, to speak to the utility billing worker, the planning officer, the code officer, just so they can see me. Now, I may not know them fully, how many years they've been there, but I have the ability to say, I'm going to smile through all of the pain. And I talk with our department directors about, you know, build a relationship. It's not always, we're not widgets. I don't consider us as, you know, you're an employee, I'm the supervisor. We're teammates. I just so happen to have been selected to be the captain for the team right now. But at any moment, every 2 weeks, it could change. So build that relationship that no one is too big or too small. We have titles, but at the end, we're
all
serving
the same
people.
purpose.
You know, I have that whole Ritz-Carlton mindset. We're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Really, no one's bigger than anyone. Let's just try to provide exceptional service. And so I try to continue to say that. I put up signs that say, how do we get to yes? How do we remove bureaucratic barriers? And they're magnets, and they're stickers, and I just take them around. And when I'm in a different building, I just put them on the wall. And people just see it, and it just becomes a mindset. How do we get to yes?
Here he comes with the stickers
Yeah,
again.
yeah. But people are asking for them now. I don't even have to people are asking for them, because I think if you change the mindset of trying to get over that, it becomes infused into the whole system. Why does Chick-fil-A say, my pleasure? Everybody is not happy to be working right now. But every person you encounter at Chick-fil-A, whether
They're smiling.
they're smiling, they're saying my pleasure, because it is ingrained in the system. And I think if we ingrain that in all of government, that even when we're mad,
You know what's
We're trying to
interesting
please.
about this series, and I'm hoping the listeners are starting to put this together as well. The viewers are starting to put this together as well. When I think about, we've done the podcast. We've done over 150 episodes. I've been with the League of Cities for over 15 years, with FCCMA for 3 years, and I would have thought to be a good city manager, you need a degree in accounting. You need a master's of public education. You need experience as a department head of one thing. But what I'm learning is it's those soft skills, those people skills, the love of public service, the ability to effectively communicate at all strata is really what makes a good city manager,
Yeah.
a county administrator.
I totally agree with you. I do applaud the technical components of a quality education to perform your job, but if you don't have that soft skill set, you're going to have a problem. I think, though, you have to make sure that the people around you are experts in your field. They have to be the ones, and you have to entrust them to do their job.
Yeah, and it's interesting because most city managers, county administrators came up through the channels.
Yeah.
But if you came up through parks or through IT.
I came up from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah, so you don't
Yeah.
know IT, but
Yeah.
so you have to trust and engender that in them.
It's the results. It's my community too. I live there. It impacts me. The decisions I make directly impact me. They impact my family, my friends, my coworkers. So those decisions are important, but seeing the results of that is very satisfying. I guess one of the things people ask me a lot about, you went from being the county attorney to the county manager. Which do you like better?
Oh, that's a good question.
Or what's the difference? And I tell people it's like the difference between being the armchair quarterback and the quarterback, right? Because the county attorney is, you're constantly yelling at the TV screen about, don't do this, why did you do that? You shouldn't be doing that. But now I get to be the person who makes those decisions. And so, and lead the team and see the results, whether I get the win or not. And so, to me, that's extremely satisfying. I tell people it's really stressful, and I'd be lying if I didn't say there are times when it does feel personal, and I go into my office and I shut the door and I have a little bit of a cry and I get myself together and I say, okay, time to move on.
I think a lot of it's communication. I go back to the communication part of it. I host something that's unique to Cutler Bay. We have what's called the open mic night. No, I don't do karaoke. It's actually literally open mic night that I have.
Not a guy named Mike.
No, and my singing skills are terrible. So what we do, I do it 2 times a year.
Well, with all that Madonna, I would think your singing skills would be terrible, but go.
Maybe losing weight on the elliptical, right? Maybe the camera adds 10 pounds to you. But one of the things that I do is kind of unique is that we actually have via Facebook Live and in the audience, and I basically give almost like a little state of the town address, kind of like giving all the residents what's the good and bad, but also most importantly, I say I'm the rumor killer. Think about how many things could damage an organization with the rumor killer, right?
Yeah.
So tell me the rumor. So when we first started this about maybe 5 years ago, I had maybe 80 people. Well, I just had one about 2 weeks ago, I had 5 people, but now going back to the social.
You went from 80 to 5.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because that tells me, the steam from the valve has opened up.
Correct. And we then also have it on Facebook Live. We broadcast through Facebook Live and Zoom. So that way, people can't make it. They're stuck in traffic to Miami traffic, right? So what we do there is that we actually have about 70 to 80 people online. So they're listening, they're hearing my comments, and then I'll sit there and pause. Okay, is there anybody else on the virtual world that has a question? And they either type it in, or we just kind of patch them in and talk like we were doing through COVID-19 council meetings.
Nice.
So that's something that's kind of unique for us that we do. And also, I think we also do another one internally. I call it cafecito and pastelitos. You know, pastries and Cuban coffee.
Yeah.
I have to have Cuban coffee with my town staff. So what do? I go say to each department, with the department head there, and all the managers and all the employees for that department. And I kind of give them that little mini what's going on in the town. And then at the same time, I get their feedback. Hey, why can't we get, uniforms, or why can't we do this? And I'm like, yeah, why can't you? And the department head's right there. Talk about pressure.
Yeah. It's interesting. You've mentioned now, clearly the cornerstone of your management style is effective communications, open lines of communications. We've completed a podcast series on emergency management, and what we found is operations is really important, but I hate to say it, almost equally important is communications, especially in this new world where everybody has custom communications. Who watches network? Who watches cable? Who watches live stream? Who watches Netflix, Hulu, Roku, blah, 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 YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. And being a good communicator helps solve a lot of those problems. The cities do a great job with recovery through mutual aid, et cetera. But now they're starting to do a better job with also communicating that, which helps calm the people down. What about pressures coming from the council? We've had a lot of change in the way people run for office, the way they get elected, what their expectations are. Have you noticed any of those changes?
At least for Cutler Bay, we've been kind of stable. I mean, it was in the beginning, we would have council meetings, typical, like say 3-4 hours long, and then you leave as a manager, okay, what did we just do?
Yeah.
Right? Now we have it where the culture of the council is, hey, we make policy, and we set the stage that way. So now my council meeting is about maybe 35 minutes to 45 minutes. That's about it. And it's just about it's about business. I think that's where the mayor and
you're going to be the most hated city manager in Florida if that word gets out. I won't tell anybody.
Well, it's funny. The first time that we had that meeting with our mayor, I got home. My wife's like, "Did you get fired? What's going on?" I'm like, "No, the meeting's over." I'm like, "What just happened?" So the mayor kind of set the tone early on when a resident came up to the podium, and literally was some minor thing that there was weeds growing in our butterfly garden. So the mayor says, okay, anybody else in the audience? Okay, thank you. Dear Mr. John Doe, you don't have to come on the third Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock at night to tell us, the council who makes policy, about weeds in butterfly garden. See those folks there? They make a lot of money. Just call them from 9 to 5. So he set the tone early on. So that's where that kind of resonates down to our employees.
If we can replicate that 410 more times, we'd be in great shape. If I'm considering entering in this career, I want to know, can I take it? Can I handle it? Can I be that? And offering skills and techniques and tools to relieve of the stress, because it is a stressful job.
Definitely.
And it's a hard job, because you got to communicate with the commissioners, you got to communicate with the public, you got to be a good leader for your
And I have
staff.
7 bosses.
Yeah, 7 bosses.
Yeah.
And so how do you deal with those stresses personally?
I separate myself and don't bring it home to my family. So if we're not going to talk about it at home, we have to talk about other things. You're in a job that's going to be stressful, and mine goes beyond the 82,000 residents. You think about, we have, NASCAR, Bike Week, Jeep Beach, Spring Break. We just had Rockville, over 200,000 people for rock and roll, and that's a stressful environment out there with all of the tourists that are coming to our
What
area.
could possibly go wrong? 200,000 drunks.
And think about it. I'm just going, and they're out there all night. There's concerts, all night. And I just realized that I have to be willing to let that go and realize my purpose. My purpose is to try to help the elected officials, the community, to create this Daytona Beach as the desired destination for you to live, work, play, learn, and raise a family. I put all that together. So if I keep that as my focus, the issues and concerns, when I may have 2 or 3 elected officials that say, I just don't agree with that, or I may have a staff member that goes rogue on an issue or causes more havoc because then they're not solving it. I understand the end goal is to make sure that we have quality of life for our residents.
So constantly reminding yourself and keeping understand that perspective. You said before we got started, when you go shopping on the weekends, you do leave this community.
Yeah, sometimes I have to go. I can't go in and sit sometimes at Longhorn and someone sees me because this beard is not going anywhere.
Right.
So people know it's there, and I'm sitting there at the table trying to eat, and people are talking to me about, that Waste Pro didn't pick up my trash this week. Well, I don't even know the route for Waste Pro, and so I have to sometimes go to other cities and build relationships with other managers, other deputy managers, and say, hey, I'm coming to New Smyrna Beach, I'm coming to Ormond Beach, let's have dinner. Or me and my wife are going down to St. Augustine, or finding niches within our own city that we know that there's not going to be space for 70 people to be there. It may be a space for only 10 or 15 people. So we may be at a Soul Foods right up the road, or getting something from Bethune Grill. And that's how you do it. But when you build a relationship with certain people and they know that you're open, some people will respect your space.
Oh, they will.
And
because
that's the
I would
thing.
have thought, because I had served in a public role for about 20 months when I was very young. I loved it at first, but it
So
became
they hired you
aware-
when you were a teenager?
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
I still had the umbilical cord stub. I was very young, staff of 12, serving 980,000 people, and everywhere you went, you were the center of attention. At first, I loved it, but I realized it became a
Yeah.
real burden. It was like walking around with 10-pound plates in your hands.
Yeah.
You can take another step, but it becomes burdensome after a while. You don't seem to feel that at all.
Yeah, I do
Because of
feel
the
it.
separation.
I do feel it sometimes, but I get it off of me real quick.
One, you have to have a thick skin. I think all of us have to realize that politics is politics. It's the world we've chosen to live in and make our careers from. And so, it's part of what we do. And understanding that, this shouldn't be personal, especially when it's
Do you
related.
read it, digest it, and then put it in context, or you just say, I'm just ignoring this?
I don't read it. I honestly, I do my best to not. Now, I'm not going to say I have not gone and said, but I try not to read it because it's not constructive. It's not constructive to read comments like that because typically they're not there to be constructive comments.
Oh, that's good. So you're putting it in context as that this is what it is, and I'm not going to engage over there.
Correct.
But they still make it to you. They make it to the commission meetings. They make it to like you said, the grocery store. That was a surprise that she said, "You're doing a great job," as opposed to I got a beef with you. Why are my property taxes so high or whatever? Do you ever get confronted like that negatively in public?
Yes, and I think at that point it's about politely, thanking them for their opinion and trying to at least give some kind of information that's correction. We've got I always hear, we've got almost the highest property taxes in the whole state. And it's like, well, actually, we don't. And I try to give them a little bit, I'm happy to talk to you about it if you want to talk further, at another time.
Do you keep a business card handy at all times?
No.
You don't?
No, because, I do try to keep that personal time to myself.
Yeah.
But, I always offer, here's where you can find the information or, reach out to our office, on Monday or tomorrow morning or what have you, to find out more information if you're interested. And frankly, a lot of time they're not. They want to vent. They want to say something to somebody.
They know they're being heard.
And
that's
that,
part of our job.
correct.
Yeah.
I think for me, I take my job very personally. I think that having the ability to make people's lives better is a very personal thing for me, whether it's providing youth programs, it's providing parks, it's providing amenities and infrastructure, and being able to maintain, a tax base that they're not paying too much for all the services that we're providing. But I think personally for me to work through that at times and to decompress and to be able to manage it all. I know that in this role I have to be an extrovert, but usually when I leave the office, when I go home, my husband, God bless him, he knows that I'm tired and I don't really want to talk because I've talked all day. He gives me that opportunity to decompress. I'll take my dog for a walk. We go for a nice long walk. I love parks, so I like to spend a lot of time in parks.
There's nothing like a walk in the woods to cleanse your soul, right?
There's not, and Palm Beach County has some amazing parks. But we have. I like to be able to take that time to decompress and kind of reevaluate my day. What could I have done better? Where could I have given some improvement? But that's really how I manage it. I don't really have a lot of hobbies. I love to cook. We travel, but don't do a lot of traveling. But it's really just spending time at home, kind of the quiet at home, and I really enjoy reading, and that's always a big thing for me. And whether it's fiction, nonfiction, so I do enjoy reading right before bed. That kind of clears my head. I love sports. I love all sports, but hockey and football are my two favorites. So I don't really listen to music. I'm more of a sports radio kind of person.
Okay.
So I do love to listen to sports.
Well,
so that's
but
really
there's
good
an important lesson there that I think our audience would appreciate, which is, but one, the introvert, just to be alone, cleanse out the noise. But it sounds to me like you're not listening to podcasts about being a city manager, for example. Things that are completely neutral.
That's
and
correct.
Outside that.
That's correct. Absolutely. But I do think, though, it's oftentimes where I find that if I'm listening to sports radio, or if I've looked, I keep this journal of, and it's probably, I'm probably at like 200 pages now. And it's just a journal of just quotes that if I'm watching a movie and I hear a quote, I'll type it into my phone, or if I'm reading a book, or even if it's a commercial. Publix has some of the best quotes in commercials. And if I'm watching and listening to that, I have this book of just 200 different quotes. And every once in a while, I'll just go through and read all of these different all of these different quotes and things, and I think that kind of helps me get through. Sometimes when it's not a good day, I will go back and I'll read these things, and whether it's something that's based on creating a community and all of it could be professional, it could be personal, but that kind of keeps me grounded.
That's excellent. I really appreciate that. Yep. Andrea, and that's probably why, sounds to me like you've only had 2 jobs.
Yeah, pretty much. I worked for the federal government for a period of time before that, but yeah, pretty much.
And they don't want to lose you, but what I love about that is what you're not telling me is I'm a workaholic. I work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no stone that gets left unturned. You're better when you take time for yourself. Right. You're better when you heal yourself, so you can show up the next morning ready to go.
Absolutely.
I think the stressors of day-to-day services is providing that responsiveness. I talked about the calls coming in, but I didn't even talk about the 300 emails I get a day.
Yeah.
And amazing when somebody says, wow, you actually respond to my email. Not an automatic response. I try to respond to as many emails as we can a day, even if it's one of those, hey, we're going to look into it. Thank you very much. We're going to look into it. And it's amazing when you sit there and resolve something so quickly that you start getting what I start calling in my organization street credit. You start getting street credit. One of the things that I do for that in terms of dealing with the professionalism is obviously I'm a certified city manager, ICMA-ACM, and coming to these type of conferences, dealing with fellow managers and just kind of talking to them about how they're dealing with different things. It's the same situation, different logo, different resident, different roadway project, different tax rate, right?
Yeah.
So it's about all the same thing. I try to break it down to make it a little bit easier for everybody to understand.
It's funny because, for our audience, people aspiring, I would strongly encourage them to become a part of FCCMA because this is the one and only place people who they know what you do, they know the challenges you face, and I like to put the challenges into three ponds, as it were. Serving the residents, which you touched on, which is your number one goal is responsiveness. And what's interesting about when you said responsiveness, it's communications response. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you could fix the pothole tomorrow. It doesn't mean you could fix the broken swing set down at the park tomorrow, but at least I heard you. We talk a lot about the negative pressures, how to deal with the consternation, how to deal with the anger, how to deal with upset residents. But on the other hand, riches kind of challenges too sometimes. And there are positive pressures, like the opportunity to do a new project. How do you approach those?
I think for me, and I talk to our team about it a lot, and I'm not the person that's out there inspecting a play structure to ensure that our kids are safe. I'm not the person that's providing services in our senior citizens program.
You're not up on a pole restoring electricity to somebody's house.
Or doing building inspections, but I think that for me, I take so much pride in the fact that I have the ability to make people's lives better. I take it personally. I work hard at it every day. I understand that, we have a very diverse demographic within the city of Green Acres, and it's important to do everything that we can to try and ensure a good quality of life for everyone that we serve. And knowing that there is this pressure to do all of these things, again, I view that as an opportunity to be able to provide everything that we can within the constraints that we have. And it's important to me. It's very important.
Do you ever drive around Green Acres, because you've now been there almost a decade, and say, because one of the issues for me with city managers is you get to start a lot of projects, you get to finish a lot of projects, but you rarely get the opportunity to see something from, concept to ribbon cutting, right? Do you ever drive around the city and go,
Absolutely.
I made that happen?
Absolutely, and I think one of the things, it could be something so small as, our residents, the demographic that we have, a lot of our residents, they look for a lot of family programming, and we focus on a lot of family programming where it's either low cost or no cost. We are a fiscally constrained city. While we are in Palm Beach County, which is a very affluent county, we are a fiscally constrained city. So we know our demographic and we understand the needs of our community. But I think that, whether it's putting in a $500,000 play structure at one of our big parks and seeing, I will go there for lunch, in the wintertime and just sit there by myself and watch the kids playing on this play structure. And, I would put it up against whether it was one of the biggest cities in Palm Beach County, I would put our play structure up against theirs, or looking at what our fire rescue, the equipment that our fire rescue has now to keep them safe, to keep our residents safe. I think that we've just done so much, something as small as, and I know it doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but we irrigated all of our medians and we re-landscaped all of our medians, we pressure washed them. And when you're driving through Green Acres, because that was one of the first things that I said when I came here, how do I know? Because we are a city that a lot of people pass through to get somewhere. Yeah. So how do I know that I'm in Green Acres versus unincorporated Palm Beach County or one of the neighboring municipalities? And I think that we have achieved so many successes in some of the things that we've done to be able to say, I know that I'm in Green Acres. Whether it is infrastructure from medians to entryway signs to, improvements within our parks.
Good wayfinding there.
Absolutely.
I love the idea that in order to be inspired, you would sit at a play center, watch a little child play with a sibling, running around the thingy, whatever, climbing the monkey bars, going down a slide. That derives joy for you and say, I helped make that happen.
I do it often. I'll go to the parks and just sit in my car and watch people play pickleball on our new pickleball courts. Or we have a bank shot basketball court, which is for individuals with special needs. And it was the first in Palm Beach County where, you want to play basketball, but you don't really necessarily know how to play basketball in the traditional sense. So we created this bank shot basketball and just watch the parents with their kids play with that. And there is a lot of fulfillment that you can get just from watching people use the things that we've had the ability to put into play.
Are you a share the love kind of person, or are you kind of person that says, gee, I want to just bask in this?
Yeah, I just like to sit there and enjoy it. I tell my assistant, hey, I'm heading out for a little bit, and I just go there and just sit and watch, and it makes it all worth it. It makes the pressure of all of it worth it.
Positive pressure. As I mentioned, we're the youngest municipality in Dade County. We were incorporated in 2005. So we were leasing a building. That's our town hall. We were leasing the building. We ended up growing up like kids, right? We ended up buying the building. We resold the building, and we did what's called a land swap, where we took about 16 raw acres in the city, in the center of town, that took away over 468 unit development rights. So think about that. The pressure of Dade County with the roads, it was a win-win. We secured our home for ourselves. The developer wanted something that he wanted to be in the inner core of the town, in the downtown district, which our building was, and then we got into, another historic road there and to build our town hall. So failures and positives, I'm going to give you both, right?
Yeah.
So we went through the process of, I was a pitch man with a former mayor to all the homeowner association, all civic associations, saying, hey, we want to borrow $40 million to build a complex someplace. We didn't buy the property yet. And that election, when we did that general obligation bond, we lost by 180 votes. Without a plan. So 2 years go by, we say, wait a minute, let's get a plan. We commissioned the University of Miami School of
What a
Architecture.
great example.
Yeah, we commissioned the University of
I
Miami.
always tell people, the public's not opposed to taxes. They're opposed to taxes that go into an empty bucket. They want to know what their money is going to be used for. Excellent
Correct.
example.
So now we go phase two, right? So, you take the scrapes, just like any election.
Yeah.
You run your election, right? I mean, it's supposed to be a campaign, right? You're not supposed to sway people. It's information session,
Right.
For government. So then we go down, we said, what were our lessons learned? We had no plan, we had no site. Wait, we got a site, we called the land swap deal. And then we said, let's go ahead and commission the University of Miami. We commissioned the University of Miami School of Architecture, and for the entire semester had 35, master students that eventually, when they graduate, are going to be building maybe $400 an hour in the private world.
Right.
And I had their dean of the school there, and then we went through a lot of public involvement meetings. Not your typical public involvement meetings. We went to our events. We have great events that we have, like we just had a Wings Over the Bay last week, that we had over 4,000 folks. It's a chicken wing eating contest.
I was going to tease you and say, is this chicken wings? And
It is.
I thought it was like an airplane show. Okay.
No, it is.
That's
It's like,
funny.
you got 10 teams. The town buys like almost like 800 pounds of chicken wings, and they give them away, and you vote on the favorite chicken wing restaurant, in
Okay.
town. So the reason for that is that my model is we go to the residents instead of saying, let's have a public involvement meeting on Tuesday at 7
There's
o'clock
that
at Town Hall.
communication stuff again, Ralph.
Correct. So we said, let's go to the folks. And I call it my 5% rule. They go, what the heck is 5%? 5%, I got 4,000 folks, maybe 5% will stumble into your tent and give you good feedback. So with that, fast forward, the first election we lost by 180 votes. The second one we did it in the middle of COVID with a plan, with a site, $37 million, not 40. Why the $3 million difference? Because that's what I had to pay it in cash in terms of my equity on the building to the lot. So psychologically, hey, it's less
But
than last time.
but it's also clearly a plan. You don't throw a dart at the dartboard and come out 37 million, random guess. It looks more planish.
Correct. I would start my HOA meetings and business community meetings. Hey, remember me? Yay, I'm back. $3 million less, and we have a plan. And then we went through that process, and the GEO bond passed by 67%.
Excellent. So there's a duality there. The negative drove you to do better.
Correct.
And the positive to do something positive for the community.
Correct. What drives me every day is when I call residents back and say, wait, I called for the town manager. No, I am the town manager. No, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. So, okay, now we go through that 5-second awkwardness, But then it's great to see people at special events. When I go to a special event, I have my, Cutler Bay shirt on and say, oh, hey, Ralph, how are you? I love that. Good, bad, or ugly. We're there at the events.
Yeah,
so the biggest thing is communication.
Well, couple takeaways. I want to summarize. Personally, taking time out of the middle of the day, the noise, set it aside, put the headphones on, put really bad music on, and get a little exercise. Come back, you're recharged. Secondly, is what drives you is these opportunities that come out of mistakes. Excellent.
And then I think the last one here for folks that are watching this is communications with the elected official. There may not be, I don't let 2 days go by unless I touch them and talk to them about something.
Yeah.
So I do that all the time. 3 o'clock in the morning, something bad happened with the police department, it's a text. But I'll sit there and make sure that we have that constant communication. I don't let 3-4 days go by without just say, hey, how you doing? How's everything?
Yeah.
It's, again, that communication.
The example I gave earlier about the woman who approached me in the store and just said, thank you, you're doing a great job. Those moments mean a lot because somebody is recognizing, how hard that you work and what you do. But it's also, every time I show up at a groundbreaking, a ribbon cutting, for something that is important to the community. We recently built a $30 million sports arena that's huge for economic development. We have built 3 or 4 fire stations in the last 5 years.
Yeah, since you've lost your football team, I think it's really important to have an alternative.
Absolutely. But it's those things where we can say, we're doing something that this is going to have community benefit, community impact for years to come, long after I'm gone.
Yeah. But, we often talk about county managers, city managers. You get to see a lot of projects started. You get to see a lot of projects finished. It's rare that you're on both ends of it. And you've been there a while, so you're probably starting to see more and more of that. Does it give you also, I would think when you sit down with the commission, they start out arguing about something and you're the negotiator, you're the center and trying to find a way. I would think it would be hugely satisfying when you come to a consensus with the commission. You say, I did that. I got them to all agree for this project, and it may not be exactly what I wanted. It may not have been exactly what that person wanted or that, but we got something, and we now get to move forward. Does that also drive your sense?
Yes.
Other than the ribbon cutting. Ribbon cuttings are a physical thing, right?
Yes. No, because a lot of things that we do, you don't just walk into the boardroom and, we've made a decision and now we're going to move forward. A lot of times these things take years. take years, and sometimes more than one commission. You may have election in between that, you know, now you've got another stress, right? Because now you've had an election, and is the decision going to change? That's happened too. You know, you work really hard on something and the commission changes, and
You're like, no, wait.
and the decision changes because, you know, government is slow. It doesn't happen in a day. And so when you finally get to that point where somebody signs on the dotted line or signs the contract or the construction agreement, I mean, it's a great feeling. I mean, you really do feel like a great sense of accomplishment.
And so I guess that's the part of the positive pressure is at the end of the journey, you can go, man, we did that.
Yes.
Excellent.
And even if it's just, you know, a program, you know, all the things we did, for example, you know, during COVID, you know, all the funds that were coming in, it's like, what do you do with those? And being able to take that and make an impact in people's lives and the importance behind that, but feeling you had a hand in making a difference.
But one of the things I don't like is that our city commission meetings and all of our board meetings are online. My wife no, because my wife never paid attention to government before because it wasn't online in my so she'll come and say, well, who was that that came to the microphone and spoke? And I'm going, I don't want to relive this. I think it's great for the community, but it's not good for my household because when I come on, sometimes my wife wants to talk about what has transpired at a commission meeting. Beforehand, I could come home, I can turn on Netflix, I watch cooking shows on Netflix and I try to cook something. I'm not a good chef. I watch, master class. Now I've got to go through the process. Yes, that was this person, they want this. And so those are the things that stresses me out more than
having to bring it home. Very interesting. Well, Deric, thank you so much for being on.
Appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Great information for our audiences, and hopefully we're inspiring them to become part of this group.
It's a great profession.
And what I was joking about is you're the guy in the pool who's telling everybody, oh no, the water's perfect, come on in. But you clearly do feel the water's perfect.
Oh yes, it's part of life.
That's fantastic.
I might as well live a great life.
And your enthusiasm is contagious.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.